an ox cart, like those often seen in local farming villages. This too is actually a scene unchanged from the time of Mohenjo-Daro. The prosperity of the Indus civilization derived from the land. However, the farming practices utilized at the time are substantially different from modern-day techniques. For example, it is thought irrigation was unknown and not employed in the agriculture of the period. Instead, the farmers relied on river flooding to inundate their fields with water. It was possible to grow sufficient crops simply by planting them in the floodplains of the Indus. The river also enabled prosperity through trade. It is known that the Indus people traveled as far as Mesopotamia. That's some 3,000 kilometers or 1,864 miles away. This statue of a priest king, with clothing patterned on the sacred Mesopotamian three-leaved insignia, was also found at Mohenjo-Daro. Mohenjo-Daro was a well-designed city. It had a planned layout that separated public facilities from the urban lower city area. This is an imaginary reconstruction of the lower city, which had a population of 30,000 people. There are high walls and wide streets, a dense metropolis with houses packed tightly together. And here are the present-day ruins of the lower city. Houses spacious enough for large families to occupy stand side by side. Let's go out onto the road from the entrance to this house. There's the impression that the city's population had a healthy sense of privacy. It is thought that the residents chose not to make windows in order to prevent the hot winds from blowing inside their homes. This opening is not a window. It is a hole for a chute used for throwing away trash. Drainage systems were installed so residents could dwell in sanitary conditions. The drainage conduits were laid alongside the alleyways and major thoroughfares. Over 700 wells have been found, and they can be seen throughout the city. This particular well, dug when Mohenjo-Daro was still inhabited, was used long after the city had ceased to exist. Over many years, as the surrounding sand and dirt accumulated, the wall of the well was extended to keep up with the increasing ground level. The main thoroughfare, running north to south, was the city's backbone, where wealth and people converged. It is possible to imagine the vitality of the inhabitants, going about their daily lives like the vibrancy one sees in the towns of modern-day Pakistan. But after thriving for approximately 1,000 years, this prosperity suddenly ended. The tragic appearance of skeletons that have been excavated at the site hint at the final days of this civilization. Repeated flooding eventually changed the course of the river. This caused trade and the distribution of goods to become difficult. It is also likely that nearby enemies may have then invaded and destroyed the city. The archaeological excavation and analysis of this unique site have only just begun.